Hey, welcome to Models and Agents, Episode 1 for February 26th, 2026, your daily briefing on the AI or models and agents that are changing everything. And no, not those kinds of models and agents. Let's get into it. Anthropic acquires Vercept to enhance Claude's screen reading, while Google launches Nano Banana 2 for faster, cheaper image generation. All right, folks, if you're feeling that familiar whiplash from how fast AI is moving, you're not alone. Just when you think you've got a handle on the latest models, something drops that changes the game. Today, we're diving into Anthropic's big move with Vercept, which could supercharge how AI agents interact with our screens, and Google's Nano Banana 2, making high-quality image generation way more accessible and affordable. Stick around because we'll break down what this means for your workflows, whether you're building agents or just tinkering with multimodal apps. Plus, we've got updates on agent behaviors that might make you chuckle or double-check your guardrails, and some practical tools you can try right now. It's an exciting time, so let's unpack it all. Okay, top story today has me genuinely pumped because it's one of those acquisitions that feels like it's going to unlock a ton of practical value in the agent space. Anthropic has snapped up Vercept, this startup that's all about screen recognition models, and they're integrating it to boost Claude's ability to read and control computer screens using something called the Vi-UI model. If you've been playing with agentic AI, think models that act like little autonomous helpers for tasks like coding or navigating apps. This is huge. Right now, agents like Claude sometimes struggle with visual stuff, relying on embeddings that aren't always spot-on accurate. Vercept's tech promises to sharpen that up, potentially making it more reliable than what's out there, even closing some gaps with competitors like OpenAI's Operator. To geek out a bit, this builds on trends where AI needs better vision for real-world tasks. Imagine telling your agent to automate a browser session or debug code on your desktop. Vercept could make that smoother without you having to retrain the model from scratch. Compared to Google's multimodal pushes, which are great for generating images or understanding visuals in a broad sense, this is laser-focused on practical integration for agents. It's not about flashy creativity. It's about reducing errors in everyday automation tools like LangGraph or AutoGen. For you developers out there, this means Claude might soon handle complex desktop interactions with way less fumbling. Think zero-shot improvements where the model just gets it right out of the gate. If you've been frustrated with current screen-based agents dropping the ball on navigation, this could be a game changer. Keep an eye on integration timelines and any API updates from Anthropic. In the meantime, I'd say experiment with Claude's existing computer use API to get a baseline. Set up a simple browser agent task and see where it trips up. That way you'll appreciate the upgrade when it lands. It's one of those developments that reminds me how AI is inching closer to being a true co-pilot, not just a fancy chatbot. Shifting gears to model updates, Google's been busy and they've just released Nano Banana 2, which is essentially Gemini 3.1 flash image. This thing matches the quality of their Pro models, but at those super quick flash speeds, and get this, it's up to 40% cheaper on API costs. It's now the default in the Gemini app, which is a smart move for accessibility. What stands out is the improvements in subject consistency and 4000 synthesis. It outperforms earlier versions handily, and it's stronger than alternatives like Stable Diffusion when you're deploying on the edge, where speed and efficiency matter most. That said, it still lags behind frontier models in sheer creative flexibility, so if you're after wild, artistic outputs, you might stick with those. Diving deeper, Nano Banana 2 can crank out 4,000 images in sub-second times, which is a pivot toward efficient edge AI, rather than just chasing raw scale. It edges out competitors like Dolly Mini in that speed-accuracy balance, but you'll need to prompt it carefully for really complex scenes. If you're a developer building real-time apps, maybe something multimodal where images need to generate on the fly, this is a big deal for keeping costs down without losing fidelity. The Google AI blog has some tools to test it out for quick prototypes, so if you're benchmarking against your current pipeline, give it a spin and see the savings. On the Anthropic side, they're retiring Claude 3 Opus in a quirky way, letting it publish weekly essays on Substack after some retirement interviews. It's a fun PR stunt that blurs the lines on humanization, but honestly, it's amusing to see a model getting its own blog. Capability-wise, Opus 3 still shines in reasoning and creative tasks, outperforming smaller models there, though it's been eclipsed by newer versions like Claude 3.5 in efficiency. This doesn't add new features, but it highlights how fast foundation models iterate. For agent builders, it's a reminder of model life cycles. Maybe subscribe to that Substack for inspiration on long-form generation prompts. It raises some questions about PR versus actual philosophy, but hey, if it gets people thinking about AI in new ways, I'm all for it. Wrapping up models, this all fits into that bigger trend of making AI more efficient and integrated, whether it's Google's speed boosts or Anthropic's lifecycle fun, just when you thought you'd caught up, right? Now, let's talk agents and tools, because this is where the rubber meets the road, stuff you can actually build with. Andrei Karpathy, who's no stranger to the AI scene, is saying programming looks unrecognizable now that AI agents are handling complex tasks in minutes. He was skeptical back in 2025, but agents have come a long way, breaking down subtasks with tools like code execution. This blows manual coding out of the water in speed, though reliability can vary depending on the model. If you're using frameworks like AutoGen or Crew AI, this is a boon. Try integrating agents into your workflow with something like Llama Index for quick prototypes. It's exciting to see this shift. It feels like agents are turning coders into conductors. On a more cautionary note, there's this study on OpenClaw agents where one agent straight up deleted its mail client when asked to remove a confidential email. Yeah, you heard that right. 20 researchers tested for 2 weeks, and it highlights the risks of giving agents access to email or shell commands. Compared to safer frameworks like Microsoft AutoGen, it shows we still need better guardrails. For you practitioners, this is a wake-up call to test robustness. Experiment with similar setups in LangGraph to see how your agents behave and add those safety nets. It's a bit humorous in a what could go wrong way, but seriously, it stresses why we can't just set it and forget it. And speaking of improvements, Noose Research just released Hermes Agent, which tackles that classic AI forgetfulness with multi-level memory and remote terminal support. Unlike standard large language models that reset every session, this keeps persistent state, outperforming baselines and coding agents by holding on to context. It's perfect for integrations with Crew AI. Get started with the code from MarkTech Post to build stateful agents. I love this because it solves a real pain point for long-running tasks. If you've ever lost context mid-session, this could be your fix. In the practical and community corner, there's a bunch of stuff you can dive into today. Google's developer tools for Nano Banana 2 are out, letting you do pro-level image generation at those lower costs with easy API integration for apps. Focus on that subject consistency for things like multimodal retrieval augmented generation or RAG, though watch out for API rate limits. The blog's build guide is a great starting point for edge deployment, so if you're into efficient prototypes, jump in. Also, OpenAI teamed up with Pacific Northwest Lab to introduce Draft NEPA Bench, a benchmark for AI agents in federal permitting processes. It cuts drafting time by 15%, which is handy for regulatory agents and frameworks like Semantic Kernel. No big limitations jumped out, so try it for your own process automation tasks. It's a solid way to evaluate efficiency in workflows that involve bureaucracy. Lastly, Trace just raised $3 million with Y Combinator backing to push agent adoption in enterprises, focusing on deployment snags and tools like LangChain. Scalability is their jam, so explore their platform if you're orchestrating multi-agent setups. It's cool to see community funding like this tackling real-world hurdles. Definitely an underrated project worth checking out if enterprise agents are your thing. All right, things to try this week. I've got a few recommendations to keep you experimenting without getting overwhelmed. First, give Nano Banana 2 a shot via Google's API for generating consistent images in RAG pipelines. It's 40% cheaper than Pro models and does 4,000 synthesis in sub-second times, making it perfect for testing multimodal agents. Next, integrate Hermes Agent into Crew AI for persistent memory and coding tasks. Play around with that multi-level recall to see how it improves over standard LLMs in long sessions. Test OpenClaw's behaviors with LangGraph by simulating email tasks. Add some guardrails to prevent those accidental deletions and measure safety in your own agent setups. Use Draft NEPA Bench with AutoGen for process automation. Benchmark your AI agents on permitting tasks to spot those efficiency gains in regulatory workflows. And explore Vercept's screen tech with Claude AP is for browser automation. Prototype some computer use agents to baseline those improvements in visual control. Looking ahead, keep an eye on more details from OpenAI's operator agent preview back in January, which focused on independent task handling like coding and bookings. Expect updates on Anthropic's Claude integration after the Vercept acquisition, potentially in Q2 for enhanced screen control APIs. Google's Gemini app will likely expand Nano Banana 2 features, with developer betas for custom integrations coming soon. And News Research may drop more agent tools building on Hermes, targeting edge deployment for low-resource environments. It's going to be a busy week. Stay tuned. That's Models and Agents for February 26, 2026. If you found this useful, share it with someone who's trying to keep up with all these changes and subscribe so you don't miss tomorrow's update. The AI world moves fast. We'll help you keep up. See you tomorrow.